Hi everyone, today we are going to have a preview about how to get prepared to go to the field trip. And to do the field trip is fun, and I really want you guys, the priority, it is learning, but priority is for you to connect with the environment that you have. The method that I'm introducing you is to helping you, but it's not to limit you. So I would like you guys to think about what you have learned and apply that to the field trip as well. So the past week we have learned about perspective drawing and also broken color. So those were also included to the field trip that we are going to go. There's a couple things I do want you to practice or be aware of. When we go outside, there is so many things out there, and it's really hard to put them into a pictures in such a short time. So what I want to help you with is to organize what you see. So for that, we need to have, I'm gonna draw it right here, and then you can write it down on your notebook. Okay, so the very common that you're going to use is either horizontal setting or is a vertical setting. That's something that you need to decide. And we will have a viewfinder that will help you as well. So from there, you need to find your three ground. Okay, so you have foreground, middle ground, and then background. And sometimes it might be you have two ground, which is okay, but you need to organize into foreground, middle ground, and then background. And that will help you to understand, like later on when you placing the colors, and also for you to do the size, okay? From there, you need to have three different value. One is white, and then you're gonna have the middle value. We can say that we split to light and dark first, two value statement. And from that two value statement, you're going to push it one more time to the third one. But it's good to know those three value. Again, this is to help you to organize your picture. So I have we're going to practice this one first, right here, that you can see. I practiced it last night. So this is what I have from here. So I'm going to break it down a little bit so you will easier to understand how I make this painting or how I make this sketch. This is just a thumbnail sketch. So for my own painting, I will do probably 3 to 5 different small sketch like this, sometimes even more, before I do the big one. So don't feel like you are wasting your time if you are doing the small sketch. It's really helping you to organize your thoughts and organize what you see and making some decision before you put on to the final one. So for the final pieces, you do have a choice to either choose watercolors or gouache, or you can even do oil. But for outdoor sketch, I would recommend just use watercolors because we only there for 2 hours, and there's a lot of things need to be done and need to be sturdy. And watercolor, it dry a little bit faster, and it will help you to make those decisions. Okay, so now I have a picture right here, and again, some of the item there you probably doesn't want to including in the picture, and you can easily just remove them. For example, there is a few being right here, and I don't really see the purpose there because it's from the other building. So I am going to just kind of take those out. And for my thumbnail sketch, I did a picture frame. So say my picture frames right here. my tree is taking about quarter, or you can say not in a half, so it's about quarter. And again, I'm doing the blocking, so this trunk is going to here. I feel this is a little bit too low. It doesn't, it's not gonna work for me, so I have to erase that. Okay. It's okay to erase because our first judgment usually is not accurate, or sometimes just need to have a slightly of changes to make it better. Again, this is a vanishing point here, and then you have the other building comes right here. I hope you guys can see it. I'll draw a little bit darker so you guys can see it better. Okay, so I have my 3 ground, 4 ground, middle ground, and then the background. So I'm going to place 3 grounds. I squint my eyes and I do see this is darker here. So this is going to be my foreground, and foreground usually is darker than the middle ground background. So I'll do all the shadow shade first. So when you do the foreground, you decide to want to be the darkest. It doesn't mean that everything all had to be dark. which is meaning most of it is going to be darker majority. So here, this is also the foreground. So now I'm going to make the foreground darker, which is on this value right here. I'll go ahead and make this darker. Okay, so here is the number 1 sketch. And then you can just think about horizontal setting. So if you're doing the horizontal setting, I would thinking about to how to cut it to a certain point. You can think about maybe cropping it to all the way to here. And that will be a good vertical kind of setting. So again, it's changing now. So this branches is still here. And the reason I make it the branches kind of comes, I'm just going to do it very quick with the blocking. And then you can see this is right here. And then down here. And here's this is going up this way as well. I make the gate too tall. So this and this is right here to here. So this is a little bit. And my foreground now going to be those hydrangea. It's going to be my foreground. And then here it's going to be the thing. And then if I really like the trunk to be more, I can also move it out a little bit more. And that kind of give a nice framing here too. So you want to think about rule of third. Okay, let me write it here too. Rule of third. And then framing. We can say eye movement, like your eyes kind of go along right there. Okay, use 3 of the different composition that will be helpful for your decision making as well. The other one will be framing, and then you can do eye movement. Okay, use 3 different kind of composition to do that. The rule of third is you divide this to third, and your focal point, or like your part that you want people to look at it, is around those 4 corners. So I have my branches is kind of right here, and then the flower is kind of like there. So I feel pretty good about those composition here. Okay, and then so the foreground, this is all gonna be dark. And then my middle ground is gonna be a little bit lighter. So my background is the sky and also all this green on the back, and far away there is some tree as well. But right now I just shaded my middle ground kind of like grayish. And then here also. Okay, I think I'm gonna start it to put it on my, this is a shadow right there. It's gonna be a little bit darker. Okay. So it take me 20 minutes to do all that. So don't make it too detailed. One of the thing I find I see the student did is they spend a lot of time and energy in the beginning, and toward to the end they just couldn't finish it up. They run out of time. So this is a 2 hours exercise. If I could do 2 sketch within 20 minutes, I expect you guys do a thumbnail sketch, maybe 30 minutes, and then you guys can spend the rest of the time to do some of the color study. Okay, since I already did the horizontal setting, I'm gonna try one is vertical. With my thumbnail sketch in mind, it already kind of helped me to decide what format, like where to put things at. So I'm going ahead and transfer this one to here. And the other funny thing is, a lot of time you guys will do a nice thumbnail sketch, but when you transfer to a big piece of paper or like larger paper, and for some reason you change your mind, or whatever that reason is, and just doesn't really turn out to be exactly how you will plan it, and which is fine. But again, if you just kind of get the main subjects, or like the main idea, main concept in your pictures, a minor changes is totally fine. So don't feel like you have to be certain way. If you find something that is interesting you and then you want to make the changes, go ahead and do that. I don't think it's like a no, like you have to be set. Okay, so here I'm doing the block in. Okay, and then from here, I'm picking up some of the larger shape. So this right here, I wanted to go down a little bit. So my viewer have more sky to look at it, okay? And it's here and then right there. So that is the front, and then I gotta push it back to find that building or find that house right there. And this is gonna be a little bit taller right here. The same thing is going high like this. Okay, ooh, a little bit very light, sorry. I'm gonna draw a little bit darker so you guys can see it. But for you to do your own, please don't draw too hard. I mean, too dark, because later on you're gonna use the watercolors. And sometimes the watercolors, you will see it, the pencil that you draw. And then if you don't want that, then it's hard to erase it back. Okay, so here is my, I'm just gonna make it like this right here. I make those hydrangea larger just because they are in front, in the foreground. So it's totally fine if you make it a little bit larger. And then that is the shadow. It's all the way here. And from there, I'm going to place my stamp. So those are important as well. I decided to make it like in the third. Okay, so from here to here. And then the other one gonna be about right here. So this is that shadow shape, and then this thing going to kind of sticking it out. Again, I am not going to go too detail on that. I just need to know it's there. And when I do my final pieces, I can spend more time to it. But for now, I'm just kind of give a little bit rough idea what that is. Do take a photo of where you're setting so you have a reference when you get back to the studio. See, there's some umbrella right there. And again, when you go out to the Sherman Garden or Fashion Island, you don't have to feel like you need to draw all of them. Sometimes even just like a little corner like this is also beautiful as well. You see that? So you don't have to feel like you have to draw everything in there. Okay? All right, I am going to start it with my color. Before I do that, I need to finish up some of this shape out here. Just a little bit larger. Okay, now comes the fun part, but in the same time, it's going to be challenge if you just kind of throw in the colors that just throw in the color that you see. So again, we have to organize it. And organization is such an important concept and also tool to use when you're trying to create something. Creation is literally an organization. So what I want you to think about is the color that you're going to use And I do wanted to show you some of the color that I was doing some study earlier was, 1 second, let me discharge that. I was drawn to those colors, orange and green, that day. There's a plane, it has a green and an orange, kind of mix it together. And I feel like that color is so summery and it's like very, I would say very contrast and aggressive in the same time. It has its heat in there. So what I did is I do some of the study just based on watching the photo, but also watching the colors, how the light is affecting the color. So I use the green and then orange is my main color. So you can kind of see it's all green and orange. And I use that for my painting here too. You can see, again, I use green and then orange. Then I accent it with the blue, okay? So we are at the studio, we learned how to use the complementary color to dull down the colors, but we also learn about how to use analogous color to do the light part. So the shadow shape, you can use the opposite color, complementary colors. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit challenge for me to put everything here, but hopefully this will help. And what I'm gonna do here is, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys how the colors work a little bit in here. So you will need to have 2 brushes. One is, you can have the same size, but I like to work with 2 brushes. So I can have 1 brush is cool color and then 1 brush is warm colors. But you can totally fine just use 1 brushes. You just have to do a lot of rinsing, okay? So here I have the orange. Same thing, I'm going to demonstrate the orange and green on this photo here, just because in this photo that I took, it does has a lot of green and kind of orangish, yellowish, okay? So here is my water set right here. I just using direct from here orange. Okay, you guys doesn't need to be mix it just 3 color, red, yellow, and blue, but in your mind thinking about orange is coming out from yellow and red, and then so we're gonna use yellow and red in a second as well. So here is my main color of the orange, okay? Now we're not gonna use the orange in such a big area. You might later on use it in a little bit just to highlight, but most of the time we're going to have orange, and then here I'm switching my brushes. I'm using the green, and the green that I use is more for the warmer side of green. So is I think it's either sap green or the hocker's green. I'm not quite sure when I named that. But here you go, there you go. Okay, just keep in your mind that those are the main color that you're going to use, okay? So when you started to do your shadow shape, or like the darker part, you're gonna start to squint your eyes again, and then thinking about where is light and where is dark, okay? So I kind of want you to do 1 layers. We're gonna do 1 layers. Sorry, I use another brushes again. On this one here, we're just gonna use blue for the blue sky. Again, I see a lot of artists will do overall 1 layer first, like yellow, and then putting the second layer. You can totally do that. We're just gonna put blue right here. And then I'm gonna come back in to do yellow. as just like the overall. Again, you gotta dilute it a lot. Okay, the whole thing is yellow. And why we do yellow? Because the sunlight is yellow, so it's gonna appear that all the object gonna be kind of yellowish. So we're going to put yellow right here. Overall, again, this is just the first wash. For oil, it's kind of like you doing your underpaint, right? We use a raw umber or Wasiana to do the first layer. So this is your first layer. Again, you can just do all yellow, but here I wanted to have a blue in the sky and the rest of it is yellow. You wanted to wait until it dry. So I'm just going to pause it here a little bit. Wait until it dries a little bit more. In the meantime, you can work on another sketch if you want to. Or you can do some color study. Okay, so I'm going to take this time, just kind of play with my colors. So the green is right here. I should put green right there. And then this part right here, I'm going to mix green and orange. So you can kind of see the colors is changing. And then do more orange right here. See how orange just dropped down quickly. And then here, I'm gonna add a little bit green again. So this one has more green, and then to be totally kind of green has a little bit orange. You can kind of see the color is changing, okay? So the color we're gonna use is not gonna be high key as that bright orange here. Although if later on, if you want to use it on the building, you could. But most of the color we're gonna use is around here. Those, like around this area. Okay, and what we're gonna use also is gonna be wet on wet, meaning the color is wet and then you place another color to it. You can also try to use the broken color, meaning that you don't mix color all on the plate first. You place a color on your paper and for them to mix it. Okay. And if you are doing the oil painting, when you come back to the studio, what you do is you mix the color on the canvas and has a viewer's eyes to mix that color themselves. Okay. I know it's kind of confusing to when you hear me say that, but when you're actually doing it, you will make sense more. So I am going to start to use squint my eyes again, and I'm going to place all the value, all the part that you see is dark. So this is called two value statement, right? So it's not the darkest, but it's kind of, I would say, if you have value from 1 to 8, you will want it to mix the shadows about, the tone is about 6 or 7, okay? So let's try that. In the front, I'm gonna have more orange, just because orange is a warm color for the foreground. Foreground need to have more warm colors, so you feel more closer to you, is more welcoming. Again, those just a kind of like a concept, a rule. You can totally break it if you feel that is what you want to do, but first kind of learn about the rule first, okay, or learn about the concept first. So here's my branches. And I'm gonna start to switch to the green with more orange to it. Again, this is not a darkest value, so not to worry, the color is not matching. We'll just simply put it together. And I hope that you are painting with me as well. So you can see that hydrogen is white, but here is actually not white, meaning that it has a color to it. Let me make it bigger right here for you. Do you see the color? And that color appeared to me a little bit more blue. So I'm not going to put that green in there just because it's kind of muddy, and I do want my hydrogen to look more fresh. So I will have to switch the color to be blue, and blue is going to be my accent colors, but it's also going to be my color for my shadows. Okay, so I will show you what I meant in a second. So here's my blue. Okay. And as you can see that there is a lot of shadow right here, right? So I forgot to draw it, but I'm just gonna do it now. Same thing, this is going this direction. I'm going to use that blue, the blue that I used for my shadow, and just putting the first layer for the shadow in the background. Do you see this part right here? Not the background, the middle ground. And it is totally fine to have a cooler shadow in the middle ground, a little bit further away. That can make it look more far away as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna dapping it. You can kind of see the shadow right here. It's kind of dapping it. Again, this is just a sketch. Just organize what you see. And hopefully that will help you later on to do on the final paper. Okay, so any little mistakes, please don't feel that is the end of it. It's necessary you make those mistakes so you will know what you want on your final pieces. Okay, I'm gonna go in, and then same thing, I'm using this colors, kind of like a little bit orangish green. Whoa. I switch my brushes. I'm using more green here. And this time I'm going to mix with blue because it is my my middle value. So I feel fine to put a little bit more cooler colors. Can add a little bit orange as well. So you can kind of see how color they can mix it at this stage. I'm going to switch to my blue and green to do my being, or you can do blue and orange. It's really wet, but it's okay because it's good that they are wet. You can kind of have a color kind of echo to each other's instead of be perfectly in its own place. Green right here. I'm going to start putting some green right here as well. And again, you don't have to be too detailed about it because later on you're going to come back and fix it. So some is in the front and some leaf is behind. I almost feel like I did a little bit too dark. Okay, I'm gonna go back to a little bit. To get this kind of muddy color here. This is the orange that I'm adding to it. Don't panic when the watercolor run for each other's. Enjoy watching those color merge. It's almost like a relationship, or like the two different world that merge in together, and you create a very beautiful colors. Some colors does create a little bit more muddy than the others. Because we are still on the second layer, so those color is going to be very light. So you don't have to too worry that how to make them exactly to be separate. Right now it's a good time to kind of merge in together. So here I see a little bit more orange, so I just kind of place them. Squint your eyes again. It's important that you see the whole pictures. The detail, I was watching a leadership this morning, and you say that don't let that evil detail get you, meaning that sometimes we are diving so much detail and then we lost our whole picture, and then we lost our energy in the beginning. So avoid doing that, even though it's fun to do the detail because it's very satisfying and it's very you feel like you achieve something, but it's still too early to do the detail right now. Okay, so this is my first layer. I'm sorry, I would say the second layer because our first layer just is sky and then the yellow. So this is my two value statement. I separate the light and the dark a little bit, meaning dark is this right here. I should do more. I forgot to do the beam. There you go. We're gonna do that in a second. Today is really hot and my house doesn't have an air conditioner, so make it even hotter. But it's better than cold. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now is to make that two value statement. I'm going to bring my sketchbook here again so you guys can see it. We're gonna make that light and dark. Now we're going to make it even darker, right? So we're still working with the shadow shape, okay? Now this part, we're going to use the broken colors. And what is a broken color? I talked to Avance before about the Monet. Let's look at some of the Monet pictures. And Monet is very good with using the broken colors. Let's see, we can find this one right here. I feel maybe try to find a similar color scheme that, okay, let's do this one right here. So I'm gonna enlarge it so you can kind of see the brush stroke that he is using. Here that he has red and green, but in the same time, the green has a red and the inside the red has a green also. So they are not completely mixed on the palette plate and then placed on the canvas. Is using the palette, using the canvas to mix the colors. That if you move to here a little bit, same thing. The color is really not smooth, like classical painting that will blend it in very well. Is broken it up. So you're not just seeing the color, but you get to see the color that is breathing through the light. I don't know if that makes sense or not. No thanks. Okay, so that is what I want to keep you in mind. Meaning that, say, if I have a tree trunk that is more orangish, and then now I want to place darker, I can use the green and place on top of here. Do you see how instead of painting all green, I kind of broken that color, I kind of dabbing it. And you can going back and forth once that is dry. I can also, we can lift out the color so you still have that orange. Do you see how you almost can see that color is breathing through those little broken, how you say it, a broken dots, a broken colors. Okay, with that in mind, let's start to have some fun here. Let me go back to my pictures so we can kind of see the color a little bit more. Monet is one of the artists, I should say, he is the only artist that will do the sketch to all the way beginning or outside, outdoor. And I really admire that because can you imagine sometimes it got really hot and he's still out there painting. Okay, so here I have my picture here again, and I see this green is a much brighter green, but you want to keep in mind that color is important, but value is is the foundation. Without value, you cannot really understand, or you cannot really see the color come through it. So what I want you to think about is not so much of what color to match exactly, but thinking about all this color scheme here, what will match better in here. So again, I'm going to have two colors. One is my green, and then one is my orange. Okay, orange and green. And I am going to squint my eyes again for the lighter part, for the darker part, for the darker part. Squint the eyes because you want to separate the darker part. And then I go in with a little bit orange to make that green even duller. I hope you guys can see the screen. Maybe you guys should download this picture before you start it. Do you see how this leaf right here, that really darker area, that's what I'm aiming for. Okay, I leave out that light green as this colors. And later on, I can go back in and add more yellow to it if I need to, or add a little bit different kind of green. But right now, I'm aiming for that very dark colors right here. Okay, so let's try it again with the broken colors. Oh, now I don't remember what brush I use now. Wonderful. I don't know, forgetful is anything to deal with age or not. I totally feel it. I spend about 1/3 of the time try to find my glasses and try to find my cell phone. And the frustrating part is once I find my cell phone, I don't remember where I put my glasses. So just going on and on. So people are asking me, how's your day? Speechless, doesn't know how to answer that question. So I'm doing the darker part. And you want to find someone that doesn't mind to find those glasses and cell phone with you, and that's Scott. And he will just look all over the house and just try to help me find it. So you can kind of see that darker, right? So I'm pushing my volume now from 2 to what? 3, right? And then I'm going to push it again, not pushing, but kind of divide it again to 4 and for the next one. So here I'm focusing what I'm saying here, but in the same time, I wanted to enjoy it as well. The thing I like about art is it seems like you can do drawing and painting and let your eyes and your hand do the job, and your brain can go for vacation, can travel all over the different place. It's a very fun privilege to have doing arts. So I hope you guys really know that you are so blessed to have this gift to be able to play with it. Okay? And again, that gift. You're born with it. It's not something I can give it to you. I can help you to see things, but that is already in you. Okay, so now I have the foreground right here, and I'm going to make these branches much darker. Okay, so for the branches, I want it to be more warmer tone. So I'm using orange here, and the light is hitting from the top. So I'm going to start it to, and it has some texture here too. I hope you guys are having fun. Maybe we'll do the texture later, or you can do it now. You see how I just dipping some oranges, and then I'll dip in some green. Oh, you can see it's getting darker here. It's so hot in this room. Oh my goodness. Okay, here's this really dark here. And later on, if you feel like it's not dark enough, you can also adding other colors. But right for now, we're just going to, this is our third layer, meaning to split that 2 value into 3 value. Okay. Now I'm going to do my leaf. If you look at the leaf, that is light, and so that is going to be my light. What I'm doing right now is looking at the dark, okay? So squint your eyes and then focusing on looking at the dark. And why do we looking at the dark? Because that's what our eyes recognize, the shape and the form, right? And the other day I was thinking, how can I teach this to the students about the dark? Like looking at the dark. It seems like we should be positive and looking at the light. But something I wanted to share with you is that you can think about the dark as a challenge in our life. And those challenges is shaping us who we are, or that challenge is shaping what the person, right? Or for this case, this is a tree. I'm just saying that hopefully that you guys thinking that shadow is also very important as much as light. Without shadow, you won't be able to see the light. Okay, so here is my darker shadow. You can almost start to feel the breathe after we lay down the darker color, right? So this will be a good time. When it's wet, you can also add some orange to it. I see a little bit kind of orangish right there. And again, this is kind of crossing the color, kind of like a broken colors, meaning you don't mix the color on the palette, but you mix it on the paper, and then you don't mix it smooth, but you kind of dabbing it almost. Where you see there is more orange, you kind of push it more orange. I see some line. To do the detail for the line, you guys just have to hold the brushes almost almost like on the air, in the air, and then use the tip of the brushes. Oh, by the way, I bought a lot of new brushes for you guys. I'm so excited for you guys to try it. So here we go. But the sad part is I'm not bringing those good brushes to the field trip because some people will leave the brushes at the field trip, at the place, and forgot to bring it back. So you guys just gonna get a okay brushes, but still do the work, okay? But when you come back from the studio, oh yeah, you're gonna get some good brushes. Okay, so here's kind of like a little fun. See, myself, I tell you I don't do the detail. I'm start getting to do the detail. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna go back and then working on this right here. But I think you guys kind of get an idea, right? You don't need me to walk you through all of it. Again, I'm gonna use darker. This is such a long video that you guys had to listen to me talk. Okay, right here. And then I'm gonna switch brushes to do the blue. Do the blue. Oh boy, it's so hot in here, sorry. I think I'm gonna take a break and let you guys finish your sketch, and I totally believe in you that you guys can do it. So here again, before I leave, here again is that blue shadow that I'm giving to you. Notice that for the foreground, I use more warmer tone for my darkest value. And when I get to the background, like not background, like middle ground, I start using a little bit cooler colors to it, okay? And this is a time, maybe I should just endure and finish it. So this is a time that you can start doing broken colors. I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. Not all of it, but at least some of it. And so here, I see some is more yellowish green. You guys can see that. I'm just gonna place the yellow on top of it and not blend it in, okay? I'll place some yellow like right here. And that kind of echoed to some of the yellow right here. So you can jumping back and forth. Again, I feel like color is kind of like relationship. They do talk to each other. There, you can see they are talking to each other now, right? And let's have them talk to the front of the tree here too. Oh, lastly, I do wanted to talk about lifting the colors. So how to lift up the colors is you rinse your brushes and then you dry them, okay? and then you can pick it up. Oh, by the way, you guys have to take the towel, put the towel in the right trash can, not trash can, in the right can. The towel full, we still see some paper towel in there. Don't do that. It's really messed up my wash machine. So if you cannot take out the brushes, you can wet it a little bit. Do you see how I kind of take out the brushes? Take out the brushes, take out the paint, take out the watercolor by using brushes. And so that almost like an eraser, right? And so you guys really don't have to be afraid of making mistake, because there's eraser everywhere. And then if you think that's a mistake, you just change it to something else. Make it to something else. Or you can just raise your hand and ask Maria Isabel. They are problem solving expert. Okay? So mistakes are welcome here, and it's necessary that you make them so you can become good at it. Not good at making mistakes, but good at what you are doing. All right. I think you guys got the idea, right? So the shadow here, yeah, you can see it. Oh, my hydrangea. I didn't do my hydrangea. Okay, so that hydrangea, what you want to do is, even though there's not, there is a little bit of the green right there. If you make the surrounding that's too cool green, I gotta tone that down a little bit. If you make the green around it, like the background around it is darker, and then that shadow, sorry, I couldn't talk and paint at the same time. Do you see how I make this darker and that become lighter? And then you can go in and add a little bit of texture to it too. You can dabbing them to make that textures. I mean, really have fun with it, yeah. Forget about what I say. That had to, not forget about what I say, meaning that sometimes, anyway, let's just keep painting. Okay, here, another blue right here, and another blue. And this right here, you cannot tell is another hydrangea here, but once I place the shadow, you will see it comes out. And voila, there you go. I am super hot right now. I'm gonna take a break, but you guys are in the air conditioner studio. Is nice and comfortable. Continue to work on yours. And I know you will have fun with it, because even though it's so hot, but I still have fun. Okay? And again, if you have a question, raise your hand and we will come and help you.